In this episode, we're going to talk about the amazing power of doing your own personal year in review and why, how, and when to do it.
I'm Sienna.
And I'm Toast.
We've been partners in life, love, and music since 2001, and we believe life is best lived as a love story. Your love story.
After all, to love well is to live well. For more, check out siennaandtoast.com. But for now, here's this episode.
Oh my gosh, this is episode 70.
70.
That's
Lucky-
amazing.
Lucky number 7. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. I mean,
Like,
we
time
should do
just keeps
something.
going.
We should do something celebratory for episode 75.
Oh.
Or I guess 100, right?
Like
supposed
those
to wait till
markers.
100? I don't know. Hi, everyone.
Hello and welcome to this episode of the Sienna and Toast Show. We appreciate you tuning in.
We do. We absolutely do. With all the podcasts that there are out there, we appreciate you choosing ours
Plethora of podcasts.
to be a part of your week. So thank you so much.
We're kind of like a secret podcast
Why are we a secret? Because we don't...
because we're a stealth podcast.
Why are you saying that?
Because we're not on we're not on
the top
popular
list.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's,
yeah.
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 So that's why we doubly appreciate you being stealthy with us.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful for our listeners. All right. So what are we talking about in this? Oh, you know what? So if you listened to the October podcasts, we forgot to give our date updates
Yeah.
in October.
Right.
So here we are, mid-November. So we thought we would give you just a few quick updates.
Mm-hmm.
So one of our dates, we went and had a massage. And I think that counts because wherever you can fit in self-care is going to help your partner.
Yeah. And like full transparency, right? Like I feel like with our date scheduling,
Yeah.
through the year. Mm-hmm. Well, let me be more clear about this. So going into this year, 2019, Sienna and I scheduled time slots for our dates. We didn't schedule exactly what we would be doing, but we said, okay, on this Saturday, let's plan a date.
Right.
So that we know. And we were doing pretty good in coming through on those commitments.
Totally.
Because honestly, as much as we do enjoy spending time together, we have found it a challenge to commit to regular, consistent dates. Meaning time that we spend together doing something that's not related to the podcast or to our website, right?
Right. Totally.
Or music.
But
And
I think
all those things are great.
But what I can say is that I think what threw off our dates,
Yeah, the consistency.
is the move.
Yes.
Because we prioritized that.
Right.
The
Because if
packing,
you
the
don't, then
organization.
you don't have a place to live. Yeah.
Well, even and we chose structuring how we packed for the move in a way that was super important to us. Like we wanted to have the least stress, so we wanted to do it in a certain way, and that took up probably more time than maybe people just throwing things in a box. I don't know. Don't you think?
Maybe, yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, so I think the move was something added into the mix. And then I think when we decided, hey, let's revitalize our shop, that took up a whole
That's a whole
bunch of
huge
things.
project.
Yeah, because it is a lot more work than what you imagine when you just go to a shop and you're like, oh, I'm going to pick this and add it to my cart. Like there's so much that goes into it. But I'm still glad we got dates in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we did, and we were aware of it. Like we weren't just like, oh, knowing that it was a date day and just like, okay, I'm not going to say anything.
Right. Oh, yeah. Let's just ignore it. Let's just not say anything. Yeah. We had to like tell each other and tell ourselves like, okay,
Today's a date day. Or
It's not
tomorrow's a date
happening.
day. We're going to do this.
Yeah,
Okay,
or
how about
we're-
we do this?
Yeah, we're gonna
Yes.
we're gonna move and schedule it later. So anyways,
Life, that's
so
life.
all of that is the messy underbelly of kind of falling off the wagon with our dates a little bit, you know. But that's how
Underbelly.
life is, right? That's life. That's it. It's not
Underbelly
all
kind of
perfect
freaks
and
me out.
messy. Okay.
Right.
All right. So let's not freak Sienna out
Underbelly.
anymore.
Okay.
And we're going to talk about give a date update,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. So one was a massage.
One was the massage. That was fantastic, I have to say.
Yes.
You Toast had cupping done in yours, right?
Yeah.
Surprise cupping.
Yeah.
It wasn't like
first time I had cupping and
Yeah.
gua sha,
Yeah.
I think it's called.
yeah.
Yeah, first time I had that. It was really trippy. Good. It was good.
And you happen to have the LGBTQ therapist. Well, not
Yes.
happen. I chose her for
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Right. So,
It was great.
I mean, we didn't know if she was, but then when you got there, we knew she was.
The gaydar.
Yeah.
Yeah, confirmed it.
Bing, 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 bing,
Yeah.
bing, 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 bing. And my massage was so great because I like a deeper tissue type work. Oh my God, it was so great.
And
It was
presence,
so great.
right? Like
Yeah, you can tell when
present.
you're with a massage person if they're just doing it and going through the motions or they are really with your body and feeling it. And it makes all the difference, I feel. So those were some really awesome massages.
so I guess that was like an unconventional kind of date. we kind of that was like a, you know, we said this will be our date. And
Let's call
we
it a
both,
date.
Yeah, and we both
Let's
agreed. Yeah.
call it a date.
This is our date. Hey, I'll take it. Okay, but the other one,
And we probably ate out after. I just can't remember what happened.
that's how memorable it was.
yeah.
But it was good. And then, but the other one that was more of a like this is a bona fide date here was we took an entire day
Yep.
and we drove
2 hours.
2 hours out to what seemed like the middle of nowhere.
Right. What is it called? Goldenrod, Washington?
I don't even
Let
know.
me look it up.
I don't even know.
I'll look it up.
But where we went was to the Maryhill Museum of Art. And it's in Washington State. It's on the north side of the Columbia River. It's a gorgeous drive out there. You're driving along the Columbia River for most of it, so you're in view of the water. And what was really enjoyable was the change of scenery going from all of the evergreen forest to, I guess, what would be higher elevation. And so the evergreen forest kind of falls away, and you're just in what reminded me of cattle ranch kind of country. It reminded me of the Parker Ranch area on the Big Island.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in the middle of that rural area, there's an art museum
On top of a hill.
on the banks of the Columbia River.
So it's actually in Goldendale, Washington.
And there's spotty cell phone service, which was a little
That panicked me out because
yeah, it was a little scary because the founder of this museum also built or had built a replica of England's Stonehenge monument about I think it's just a few miles
Yeah.
from the museum. And the way that it's written about and talked about by the museum staff is, oh yeah, you just, take
the hill.
take a right and you can't miss it.
you can miss it.
Well, you can totally miss it, okay? It's kind of
You can totally miss
It's kind of
it.
a winding drive. We took
Yeah.
2 wrong turns getting there. Maybe it's just us, but it was a little sketchy getting there
Yeah.
because you're looking at Apple Maps on your phone and relying on that, and all of a sudden there's no service, and you're like, where are we?
Yeah.
But we found it.
oh my gosh.
We found that there were actually a bunch of other people there doing the tourist thing.
Oh, and we found the fruit stand.
There
That was a nice
there was a
thing
fruit
to surprise
stand
there.
and so it was a whole day of exploring and beautiful scenery. The weather was just perfect.
Yeah, the weather was amazing.
Yeah, we had lunch at the museum cafe
Yep.
with the most amazing potato salad ever
Oh my God. Yep.
because there was love in the ingredients.
Right. We had such a kind person helping us with our order.
Behind the counter at the cafe. Yeah.
And she encouraged, originally we didn't get the potato salad as our choice, and she encouraged it, really telling us how it's made with so much love. And so we were like, okay. But I swear it was so good.
It was really good.
It was really good.
That's kind of what we talked about during our lunch, is how good the potato salad was. And we were, analyzing all the different components.
There were capers in it, so I don't know if you like capers, but it was just fantastic. And it wasn't like over mayoed. You know how some,
Because when there's too much mayo, it gets
It's awful.
greasy.
well, it's just
And
you don't
oily.
feel good, right? You don't feel good, and then also too, mustard should not be in your potato salad, people.
Well, you know what's funny is that when
No mustard.
when the woman behind the counter was taking our order and putting all the food together, like she was a one-woman show.
yeah,
She was a one-person show doing everything behind the counter with such a great spirit of generosity in life.
Yes.
And so when we were giving her, our order, what did we say? Oh, we'll have the potato chips, right? Because you could either have potato chips or potato salad, something like that, right? And she says, "You sure you don't want the potato salad? Because it's really good. It's homemade. It's made with love, and we put capers in it." And as soon as she said capers, it was a yes,
Yeah.
right?
And she said no pickles. I think she
That's right.
specifically
I think she said no pickles,
Right.
and we started talking about potato salad.
I know, because you
and how
cannot
mustard
have-
is not.
No mustard and no pickles, people. Do not put it in potato salad.
And easy on the mail. So anyway, it was great. Yeah, she was fantastic, and so was our lunch. And we actually learned some cool things at that art museum. One of them was that the founder, his name is Sam Hill, and he was a huge influence here in the Pacific Northwest, apparently, back in what it was, the late 1800s, I guess. His passion was for building roads. What a weird thing to be totally
That was
into.
his passion.
But this guy was, he was the main driving force behind the fact that today we enjoy a gorgeous drive along the Columbia River. It's a historic,
That's what he built.
or what is it called? A scenic, like a national scenic area.
Yes.
It's literally designated as a national scenic area. But yeah, all of the engineering and the public effort that goes into creating beautiful and safe roads. Yeah.
And actually, the museum was originally the home that he was building for himself and his family.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
And he chose that area because he had another vision of creating an agricultural type area there, but it didn't quite work out because of the climate. So he abandoned the home as far as making it their family home. And then later, his dream of building roads came right back up front, and he was able to bring that to fruition, focused on that, and then decided, hey, you know what? I'm going to turn what would have been our family home into a museum. And the name of it, Mary Hill, was actually named after his daughter, Mary Hill. So they call it Mary Hill. And so the building itself is also from that time. Yeah, which was pretty amazing in and of itself.
So it was an overall really inspiring and educational and beautiful day.
Yes.
In all ways.
Very much.
Nature and people and learning about historical figures and being inspired by their lives.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very cool.
So that's our date update.
That's our date update. Yes. Okay. So now we'll transition
On to the show.
on to why, how, and when to plan your own personal year in review. We're coming up on the time where all of the magazines and newspapers are going to come out with their best of lists for the year and the word of the year and all that kind of stuff. Well, we argue and advocate for having your own personal time of solitude and introspection to kind of do the same thing for your life for this past year.
Totally.
And to prepare for the next year. There's a t-shirt that I've seen aimed towards the CrossFit kind of people.
Okay.
You know, like people who are into being strong.
Yeah, yeah.
And the t-shirt says, "Strong people are harder to kill and more useful in general." I like that.
Okay.
It's true. I think it's true.
Okay.
You know, and obviously in that community, the focus is on physical strength.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's important.
Yeah.
That's part of who we are as physical beings. But I think the exact same thing is true of our inner person.
Mm.
Strong people, inwardly, in your spirit, in your thoughts, in how you conduct yourself in relationships. Harder to kill, more useful in general. Because, you know, for example, the woman who was running the cafe at the museum, I felt like she had a really strong spirit.
Yes.
And that's why she was able to do her job in a way that was useful, not just in the physical realm,
right,
but it was so useful to us in our spiritual experience of our interaction with her. She really, you know, channeled some great life energy into us. So useful. So useful to the world and to the human community. So I think that's one of the real attractions to doing this personal year in review. I think it makes us stronger in the spiritual realm, and it makes us more useful in general. Because it exercises our spiritual muscles. I think it exercises the capacity that we have in the inner person of intending, making decisions.
Yeah.
You know, like having intentions and directing our life and deciding what's important to us.
Yeah, totally.
Right? So that we can align our priorities accordingly. I think that's so important. And really, when it comes down to it, like our life and our quality of life is not, it doesn't consist chiefly in our outward circumstances. I mean, we definitely need outward circumstances to support our physical life. We need food, clothing, and shelter. We need money, right? But the quality of our experience absolutely requires a kind of experience of that richness that is fulfilling. Because we've all heard stories of people who seem to have it all, right? They have the career success, they have the money, they might even have all the fame and the accolades and the awards and the applause, but somehow they're still miserable. And that's very sad and upsetting, you know? So while we can chase all the outward stuff, it's so important to take care of the inner stuff. And I think that's why doing this personal year in review and having a lifestyle that prioritizes exercising the inner person is so crucial to having the experience of a good life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's I guess that would be my argument or encouragement for actually doing a year in review.
Yeah,
You know, I think it makes us more useful in general to the human community and to the world. I think it also benefits us just individually. It makes our lives better, not just other people's lives better. So that's why we should do it.
I think that's good.
But now we need to.
I think that's good.
Well, thank you.
I mean, I feel like, you know, doing the review is what you do in order to continue staying awake in your life.
Mm-hmm,
you know, how was this year? How was this year for you? Right.
Right.
But also, how would you like the upcoming year to be?
Right.
What do you want to take from this year into the next year? What do you want to leave behind? And really using this personal review, year in review, to truly assess where you are in all ways. You know, where am I? And to also incorporate where you want to go, and to just be aware of that. Okay, this is where this is where I am by doing the review. But this is where I really want to be. Okay, but this is where I am.
And taking time to define that in a more concrete way.
Yeah.
Instead of just being vaguely dissatisfied.
Right.
Right.
Because I think a lot of times we kind of we're sleepwalking through life. I mean, I think that's a big problem.
Yes.
You know, sleepwalking through life, and we're just like, we take things as they come, and, you know, we know what I kind of want to do this. And, you know, how do you make things happen, or be a co-creator with spirit to create the life that you truly want to be living, and the life, and receive the life you're meant to be living, if you're just kind of
flabby,
in that fog?
That's flabby spiritual. That's flabby spirituality, right? Like your inner person is just flabby.
And you want to be strong.
You're not exercising.
Yes. You want to be strong in the inner spirit.
Yeah, because you do have God-given spiritual capacities, God-given spiritual muscles.
And part of exercising that is doing this review.
Yeah.
You know, look at it and don't see it worse than it is. See it as it is, so you know what to do.
Yeah.
So how do you do one of these year?
Yeah. How do you do it? What might it look like? What might one do?
I mean,
when they sit down to do, you know, the personal year in review kind of experience.
I mean, you kind of, you know, as we always say, like, do what feels good to you, do what feels right to you, do what calls to you. But as a starting point, what
it
you
helps
could
to have some
do,
structure.
What you could do is make sure that, well, first of all, I guess we're going to get to when. Well, talk about when. The reason why we're bringing this up now is so that
November.
You can schedule it. So schedule it. So the part of the why, how, and when, the when piece,
well,
is to make sure you
just at the end of the year, right?
Well, yeah, but you don't want to do it. You don't want to do it like wait until December 31st to do it.
Because what if something comes up?
What if something comes up? You might be having a New Year's Eve party that you're going to. You don't want to be, this is not something you want to rush. You also don't want to add so much pressure where it's like, oh my God, I have to do my year in review. You know, it's just something to really immerse yourself in and to see it as a part of yourself and spiritual care. So truly maybe schedule 2 times to do it in case the first one falls through, because it is a busier time right now. But schedule it, schedule it. And I would suggest scheduling it within the first 2 weeks of December. That's probably a good time. Or if you're able to, schedule it now, so that would be the when.
Okay.
As far as the how, one suggestion would be to start off with some quiet time. Put on some beautiful meditative type music, light a candle, and be cozy, have your journal, something to write on, and possibly ponder these next things. First one being to think about your 2019 and truly decide for yourself, what happened in 2019 that you're really proud of?
Like to have a touchstone moment.
It could be a moment, project. It could be a project, it could be a relationship that healed, whatever it is. But what are you really proud of in 2019?
Something that can symbolize an accomplishment.
Sure, yeah.
For this year.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
And then another thing in this quiet time is, what do you wish was different in 2019? What do you wish you did differently? What do you wish went differently? You know, maybe a relationship shifted and maybe you feel like you had a strong role in that. Maybe something shifted with your job. Maybe you didn't exercise as much as you wanted to. But what do you wish you did differently or went differently?
Okay.
And then maybe the last piece to contemplate, and I think this might be maybe one of the more important pieces, is there anything that comes up that in 2018 you said you were going to do it in 2019, but you didn't do it? And if there are several, which of those tend to always be on the list? And it tends to never be something that you can come through on or accomplish or get to, or somehow you're not prioritizing it, but it's still there. It is still there, and it's still important enough that you are aware of it, and it's still part of your field.
Something that comes. This is an example.
Okay.
I think for me, like it sounds like, oh my God, it's such a silly thing, but I bet people can relate. I have some books that have been loaned to me by an acquaintance.
Oh,
I don't know the person who loaned them to me very well at all, but they were generous enough to just have them sent to me and loaned to me.
I know, they mailed it.
Yeah, and I've had those books sitting there for like a couple years now.
I think over.
And I thought,
yeah,
my intention was, I'm going to read these books.
Yeah.
I have not.
Well, you've gone through them, but you haven't like read
through the pages. But now I'm like, Toast, you're not going to read those books.
Yeah. Let's return them.
Like, let's get real and honest. And you're not going to, let's just return them with thanks.
Yes, absolutely.
And close the loop and move on.
Right.
Right. I mean, that's a small example.
Right.
Another example would be, I guess, the exercise thing that I've talked about in previous episodes. That always seems to be a struggle for me, like something that I want to be more consistent at. But I guess I just have to keep working at it,
Right.
Yeah. But anyway. Another thing for us, I'm just trying to come up with examples so people understand what we're talking about. And I think an example for us was our shop. Like what are we doing with our website and stuff? Yeah, we have this podcast and we're going to continue that, but we've always known we've wanted to do more, right? To build up around it, to fill out the
offerings.
Scope, the scope of what we're doing and what we're putting out into the world. And so finally this past year, we made a big commitment to do it. But that had been something that was kind of like an open loop for a long time too.
Right. Yeah. And it could be, and then maybe for you, for the listener, it could be maybe there's a business you want to start and you've been wanting to start it for a while. Maybe there's a class you want to take. Maybe, sometimes it's things like, in Toast's example, the books that you need to get back to a friend to close that loop. So sometimes it's a closing the loop type of item on your list. Other times it's a true soul calling item on your list. So I think that third one, thinking about what you haven't done that seems to be on the list, reappear on the list every year, that's something to really pay attention to. And with that one, that, well, okay. So then when you decide what that is for yourself, so if it is starting the business, then it comes down to not that you necessarily have to do that, but maybe you haven't done it all these years because you just don't really want to do it.
Right. And that's okay.
So then you let yourself off the hook. Mm-hmm. Make that decision instead of just continuing to carry it year after year after year. Or firmly decide this is the year I'm doing it.
Yeah. But be declarative and definitive and firm about what box you put it in.
Oh my
right?
gosh. Yes. Because
I think that's the key.
Not deciding, having the cloud, again, that just takes so much energy. Yeah. But okay, so after you have that quiet time and you have looked and felt into these questions, then you decide what your big rocks are going to be. What the big rocks you're going to put into the vessel of 2020. You're going to put the big rocks in first. Your big rocks are your priorities. And you shouldn't have like, here are my 10 big rocks, because 10 rocks aren't going to fit into the container.
Yeah. You can only have
I think 2 or 3.
I think
that's what I think.
Max.
3 is the max. Yeah.
I think.
And that becomes your priority. And then all the little rocks, things that, it'd be good if this they will make it into the vessel. Those little rocks, they will take care of themselves.
And if they don't, it's fine because they're little anyway.
Fine. Right.
I guess, as you're explaining or using the terms big rocks, mm-hmm. and how we're saying, 3 is a max. Like, mm-hmm. if you're telling me you have more than 3 big priorities, you're fooling yourself kind of thing. That makes me think of the concept of really close, good friends.
Oh, right.
You can,
right.
One human being can
right.
only have, I would say, 3, 4 really good friends. No, you don't think so?
I think for some it can be a little more than that if it's a group you've had. If it's a group of friends that you've had that bond from maybe elementary school to high school, because you have that history, right?
Gotcha.
So quote unquote good is defined in a different way.
Okay.
Because the history, right?
But still the principle, the overall principle is that the depth of the importance of these friendships, or the depth and the importance of these priorities.
Right.
It's such that you can't have more than a very small number.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it means for something to be a priority.
Right.
Yeah. So I guess we're getting worked up about...
Are we getting worked up?
Well, I am. I'll speak for myself.
I'm not getting worked up.
I'll speak for myself. I guess I feel like what's coming up for me is the sensation of having to push back again against the societal pressure to show up and get done so many things.
Oh.
You know what I'm talking about?
I know, and you know why
we get coming up for me.
I get worked up with that too.
Yeah.
You know why I think we get worked up with it? Why? About that?
Yeah.
Because I think both you and I naturally, mm-hmm. so I don't think this is necessarily outwardly influenced for us.
Okay.
And then when you think about it, how can you really make that statement? Because we are influenced, right?
Okay.
But I think naturally, the energetic pattern that we've come into this lifetime with mm-hmm. does contain this, we want to do a lot of stuff.
Oh, you mean our authentic
natural
interests?
Yes, we want to do this.
Wide.
We want to do this. We want to do that. Which then creates a lot of things we want to do,
like a podcast
and
music,
a lot of things.
And a shop.
That we feel they're all important because they all feed our souls in different ways. But we also have people on the other side of it, outside of each of those things that are there receiving these things. So we want to do it for the people, right? And so I think that's why that irritates us, because we already feel our own internal pressure because we naturally have a lot of things on our list going all the time.
Yes.
All the time.
Yes.
Right?
I agree with, yeah, I see what you're saying.
But because it's one business, right? Sienna and Toast LLC, it's under one roof. We think it's one rock, but sometimes it certainly doesn't feel like one big rock.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
You know, it feels like 6 rocks.
Yeah. So this gives me food for thought to give me myself, well, not to give myself, but just to be receptive to spirit, you know, the goddess, the communication between the great one in all, the God and me, of like, okay, how to relate to the call, aka the big rocks,
Right.
in a way that's healthy, in a way that is not infused or with the sense of pressure and demand and
or
you have to
urgency
perform.
sometimes, or urgency, where it's like everything feels urgent, and it's like you can't do all of that
correct.
so fast.
Right.
Yeah. So okay. I think was that good?
I mean, we got really philosophical just
I
now.
know. Okay, so
But the point
let's
is
just-
to give ourselves permission
yes.
to have a limited number of priorities and big rocks.
Exactly.
Because that's...
But to review your year so that if you haven't maximized, and again, not from a pressure way, I'm just talking about truly what you want to do, who you want to be in this world. Did you align yourself with that in 2019? And if not, make the decision to do so for 2020. And what does that look like? How are
Yes,
you going to
what does that look
prioritize
like?
that? Right. And with that comes calendarizing. And I know that might sound like, oh my God, I have to calendarize that. There are things that you will need to do that you know today, things that you can schedule in your calendar to help you bring certain things to fruition for 2020. So I would suggest taking the time to go ahead and pencil those in advance, like how Toast and I penciled in our dates. But again, the whole thing isn't to be so rigid about it, but it's to have the intention, to bring your intention to the paper. And as you start living your life and continue to live your life with your schedule, with all of that, with your priorities and who you want to be and what you want in life and what your gifts are, you want to make sure you're staying awake and alert in case spirit has something else.
In case it looks a little different than what you originally
and to be
may have
okay
assumed.
making a little shift here, sometimes making a big shift, but you have to stay awake.
Right.
And you also can't just, be twiddling your thumbs waiting for spirit to speak to you.
Right.
And not make any move until something,
Right.
Yeah.
And all of that speaks to the art of life.
The art.
Right? And of spirituality.
life.
It's not just rote going through the motions.
No.
Or a rote kind of unthinking
gosh.
ritual.
Right.
Or a rote
Now I'm getting worked up.
acceptance of a 1, 2, 3 color by numbers type of thing. No, you actually have
I'm
to
getting worked up now.
engage.
Yes.
Okay.
I have to sniff my aromatherapy.
Okay.
You know why? Because I feel like throughout whole high school, throughout my college life, I felt like I was just going through the motions. And I feel like, gosh, that's a lot of time wasted. But anyways,
That
was a while ago.
yeah. I mean, it's, and yet not totally wasted because that
I know, it's
informs
never
what's
really
going
wasted.
forward. Yeah.
It's never
Yeah, I
really
know what you mean.
wasted.
And again, but see, we live in our society. I think school is one of those institutions that are set up to kind of lull us to sleep
I know.
in this kind of going through the motions factory.
Right. It's like, just listen. Sit there and listen. Don't talk to your neighbor.
Kind of thing, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
When all kinds of things are systemized, right? Where it's like interchangeable parts, and you do these courses, and then you get this degree, and then you show up for the interview. When things are so systematized in that way, it does. The inertia of that and the effect of that is to kind of lull us into a sense and a way of doing life that is rote.
Yeah.
And we all become these automatons, right?
Right.
Okay, but
like humans.
But we are pushing against that. We are arguing for and encouraging you to do a proactive, be more useful in general, exercise your spiritual muscles, year in review.
Yes.
And it does take effort.
Yes, it does.
It does take a conscious effort.
It takes effort. You're not going to want to do it all the time.
Yeah, you're not going to want to.
But just do it.
Okay? Just do it.
Do it.
Okay? Okay?
Okay, I'm so hungry.
Okay, we better.
we
I
need
know
to
they may
eat.
have heard our stomachs growl. Okay, we're going to wrap this up.
All right.
Woohoo!
All right, so if you're still listening, you get so many points because we went off on a lot of tangents. We're also hungry, but thank you so much for staying with us, for listening to the podcast. We hope you did get some tidbits that are going to be helpful for you for this month, that you will engage in. And don't forget, it's all about progressing, and not about perfection.
And we're all in this journey together. Thank you for being with us on it. We love it. We love this journey with you. Join our email list at siennaandtoast.com. Check out the shop for all of your woo-woo needs. That's kind of a joke.
Use the, what is our coupon code? POD10, POD10.
For 10% off. And that's it, right? Did we cover everything?
Yeah, how come you're speeding?
I don't know.
I feel awake now. That's great. Okay,
I'm trying to wake us up.
All right, so until next time, this is Sienna. This is Sienna.
And this is Toast. And as always, we invite you to come and encourage you to live your love story.